What's happening, folks? Happy Monday. So, I want to touch on something very important. Due to the fact it's a month, we are attempting to mitigate as much unhealthy vices as possible. However, the severity is, whether if it's something as small as gossip to something as large as drugs holding you back. I'm not exempt from this, obviously. I've dealt with many things, and still, to this day, dealing with things such as vices. If you're aware of something that is hurting you, holding you back in any type of way, and you keep going back to it, you are hooked. We're not here to measure the severity of what you're hooked to. We're just here to state the fact. This is not an attack towards you. This is not to say, I don't like you, so I'm going to say this to you. I like you, so I'm going to avoid saying this. No. 1 plus 1 is always going to be 2. It's a fact. If you need or depend on something that is not good for you and you keep going back to it and you know it's hurting you, you are hooked. You are hooked. And that's okay. It's okay to be hooked, but it is not okay to remain there if it's something that is causing you pain. We think of abuse in the physical sense, but we never speak about mental and emotional. Those two things eventually will affect you physically. Mental and emotional abuse will affect you physically as well. You're going to age faster. Your body's not going to be as strong. You're going to get sick more often. You're going to need a lot more to recover later on, which is why certain vices that hurt you will have long term negative effects. That's a fact. I'm not saying it's easy. It's not. Who am I to say it's easy? Who am I to say I'm perfect? I'm not. Which is why I work so hard. I have so many imperfections. I'm willing to work on them. But within reason, I cannot fixate on all the things that are my advantages. But the things that I know would hurt me and my loved ones, I work hard to make sure to improve in those areas. But when it comes to vices, be empathetic enough to take actions to change it. Are you willing to? Are you willing to admit to yourself, these things here are holding me back? And I'm willing to do something to change it. This is an important month. A lot of people deal with this. A lot of people in your family, in my family, you know somebody dealing with this. And many people, to be honest, will not open up about certain things when it comes to vices. Especially like men nowadays. Like, we don't open up about things like this. But it is important. I'm coming here to say that you are not alone. You're not. It's not embarrassing to go through things, but you don't deserve to stay there. So what are you willing to do to get out of it? Because doing something you know that hurts you, brings you down, and you keep going back to it, it's mental and emotional abuse. It's mental and emotional abuse. And that type of abuse will have long-term effects on your health. It will have effects on your physical to a certain degree, to a certain point. I hate to say it, but a lot of individuals look defeated, look like they're aging, look like life is just bringing them down. It's a result of so much trauma, of so much things holding them back in so many ways. A lot of it is not your fault. A lot of it came down from generations of curses. Generations of curses which occur through porn, prostitution, drugs, alcohol, witchcraft, all the above. Will you be the first to break that chain? Will you be the one to break generational curses? Because if you want to have kids or if you want to carry on your name, won't it be in your best interest for your kids not to deal with what you had to deal with? Why should they have to suffer for the mistakes of your past generation that you have right now for a responsibility? I know It's terrible, but it's still your responsibility. Because if you don't deal with it, your kids are gonna have to. If you don't break it here, they're gonna have to suffer. So it's actually very selfish to not deal with the things you know will bring chaos. This is why I speak on this. So whether if it's your porn addiction, your gambling addiction, your video game addiction, your eating disorder, your drugs, your alcohol, your spending, emotional eating, whatever category, you got to address it as soon as possible. The older you get, the harder it's going to become. The more you do it, the more neuropathic ways you're building in your brain. And the harder it's going to be to break the chain. Someone older is less likely to be convinced of different perspectives because they grew up learning something a certain way, so they only see things from a certain way, from a certain angle, which is why it's easier to teach someone younger. It's easier to teach a kid something. It's not really the fact that they learn faster, is that they don't have so many things, habits, and experiences build up that are tough to undo. So you got to start today. I'm saying this out of love. I'm saying this out of care. No one likes the truth. We all want to hear what we want to hear. We all want people around us to enable our bad behaviors. I used to drink. I used to do all that stuff. I used to be addicted to pornography as well. I used to do all of that. What is the point of sitting here and pretending like, oh yeah, I got everything figured out? I don't. Which is why I'm going to keep working. What is the point of lying to you? What? What is the point of you lying to yourself? You got to address it at some point. Because you're going to hit 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. You want to look yourself in the mirror at 50 saying, I should have started that day in November, back in 2024. There's one thing coming after all of us. Time is going to keep going with us or without us. While we're here, we need to make the most out of it. We need to. We don't know when that time might be when we leave. If you're aiming to have your offspring benefit in some way, address the generational curses, and those come from unhealthy vices. I'm speaking the truth. I'm not lying to you. I don't need to lie to you. I'm not trying to sell you anything. I'm hoping somebody watches, looks themselves in the mirror, and realizes, oh my goodness, he may be right. Oh my goodness, I need to address this immediately. Time is ticking. The clock is ticking. Will you be empathetic enough to take actions, or will you just watch this video, get hyped, and go back to your old ways? I digress.